This is CNN Breaking News.
All right, welcome back. You're watching CNN. We have some breaking news coming out of Brussels, Belgium, where there are reports of explosions and gunfire. CNN's Aaron McLaughlin is there. Aaron, tell me just what you know.
Hi, Brooke. Well, I'm standing not far from the scene of this activity, the incident that unfolded. Police just confirming on Twitter that there has been some sort of incident at Brussels Grand Central train station. You can see it in the distance there. They have set up a security perimeter around the station. You can see a very large police presence. There's also a military presence out on the street. The military presence there largely because Brussels is on a continued heightened state of alert due to the terror threat. No suggestion so far that this incident at the moment is the result of terrorism. What we do know from police tweeting out that there has been an incident at the train station, one of the main train stations here at Brussels. The police also tweeting that the situation is under control, asking that they follow, that individuals follow instructions. We know from Belgian media that the police have confirmed, according to Belgian media, that there has been some sort of explosion inside the station and that soldiers opened up on a private individual. That is what we know so far. We are working to get more information, Brooke.
All right, we'll let you do that. Aaron, thank you so much. Outside the train station, I have Remy Bonifay, also a witness on the phone. Remy, are you in or near this train station? What are you seeing?
I was near the train station. Now my employer is driving me back home.
Did you hear the bang or reports of some sort of explosion inside the train station?
Yeah, I was actually waiting in the main hall when all of a sudden there was a very loud explosion, and then in front of me I could see a burning object. People were looking around, but then after a second there was a second explosion, and then people started to run out of the station, and then I could hear very loud bangs. Although I could not see any people injured at all, and then I ran into the Hilton Hotel.
Remy, where exactly were these explosions? Were they in the middle of the train station or just on the outside?
Inside in the middle of the train station, where most people are waiting.
Where people are waiting. And when you say you saw one burning and then you heard that second explosion, how loud or how large was that fire? How large was
the fire? And that was actually very surprising because the bang was very loud. It was like a very big firework that just went off in front of my nose. But then the fire, I have a picture. The fire is quite small, so it was a very small explosion, but with a very loud bang. Yeah.
Okay, Remy, stay with me. I've got one more person I want to bring on, Arash Azami, also on the phone with me. Arash, it's Brooke. You're live on CNN. Tell me, I understand you tried to walk into the train station moments ago. Were you being held back because of the police?
Yeah, so we left our taxi. We were late for our train. We walked into the train station, and right at that moment, we were loudly evacuated by security personnel. So first we didn't understand them. We saw people running out of the station, and then we figured something must be wrong here. And in the end, we were let in by personnel of a restaurant next to the train station, and that's where I am right now.
So I was just talking to our last guest who actually saw and then heard a second explosion. Did you hear two explosions?
No, we didn't hear any explosions. We just witnessed the evacuation, and right at that moment, all kinds of police cars and then security were rushing around to secure the building. So.
All right, I'm just getting information as I'm talking to you, Arash. A bomb unit has just arrived there on the scene. If you're just joining us, we're watching these pictures out of Brussels, Belgium. You see a lot of flashing blue lights, huge police presence, because there's been reports of explosions inside one of their central train stations in the Belgian capital. Belgian police referring to it as an incident with an individual at the station. They're saying that the situation is under control, but please follow the instructions. We're talking to two different eyewitnesses here. So, Arash, it's not It's just about quarter till 10 o'clock your time in Belgium. How busy is the train station right about now?
Well, right now, of course, I can tell. I guess it's evacuated, but usually this is a very busy time at this kind of train stations, and I can confirm that right now I'm looking at a explosive, what is it? One of these vans, with a unit to dismantle explosives, and a command car of the police, and there's a lot of military here. But the situation seems to be contained. There's no sign of panic on the station square.
That is a good sign. That is a really good sign. Arash, thank you. Michael Weiss just got seated, terror expert here. And just listen, no one's calling this terrorism, Michael. But, when you hear, especially in the wake of what's happened in Paris and in London, and, when you're hearing eyewitnesses describing these loud bangs and fiery explosions inside a central train station, a lot of people's minds go there.
And also it's Brussels, which is the headquarters of the ISIS Francophone network. I mean, we saw with Molenbeek, all of the Paris attackers had essentially plotted their attacks from Brussels, and then, of course, there was the famous attack at the Brussels airport. Major transport hub, an explosion, a bomb. This doesn't seem to have done much damage, thank God, but thoughts immediately go toward a case of jihad, right? Just given the venue and the city involved.
It seems like, Belgian police were on it very quickly. It sounds like they've cordoned off the area. We just talked to an eyewitness who obviously couldn't go any farther inside the train station, was told to leave. The original witness didn't describe the explosion. It sounds like that the sound really reverberated and was quite loud, but the way he described the fire, it was quite small. We just don't know a lot, really, at this point in time.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that a bomb turned out to be a dud. Or that was semi-successful in detonating, but not having the maximum impact that had been intended. But again, completely unaware as to what the situation is at this point. So.
Our reporter at the train station, and here's if you know Belgium, here's sort of an overlook of the city, she had mentioned that there's been a heightened state of alert in Belgium. Was that because of what's just happened elsewhere in Europe?
Yeah, and also, again, this is the sort of central hub for ISIS's European network. The Brussels or Belgian police authorities and law enforcement intelligence have had a really rough time rounding up everybody that they suspect might be at large. I mean, remember, ISIS started sending operatives into Europe even before they lost Kobani in 2014. This was always part of their main strategy. First, we build our caliphate, we do our nation building in Syria and Iraq, and then we bring the jihad to the West. And they were relying on native sons and daughters from Europe who had either gone off and gotten the training in Raqqa or, more often than not, didn't even set foot in the Middle East, but were radicalized and remotely controlled by ISIS command whilst they walked the streets of Europe, particularly the French-speaking streets of Europe.
You and I were sitting right here 24 hours ago. We were talking about the Champs. We were talking about the individual who tried to ram a car or a van into, security police along the Champs-Élysées, and also the man who was outside of, in London, outside of that mosque in that community, Finsbury Park in London. A white man in that case. We don't know if he was specifically targeting, Muslims, but it was just after Ramadan, after midnight. Just people are on edge right now, especially in Europe.
Sure, and remember, the London attack and the Champs-Élysées attack, these were both rudimentary in the sense that this was getting your car and just mow people over. A bomb, though, that's redolent of Manchester, but more importantly, again, it comes back to the Paris and Brussels attacks. The bomb maker for that ISIS network lived in Brussels. So when you hear bomb and you see a major transport hub in a European capital city, the headquarters of NATO, the headquarters of the European Union, I'm not trying to jump to conclusions here, but I am
but that's
thinking...
important to point out the significance of Brussels.
Right.
Seeing all those leaders just what was that, a couple of weeks ago. Looking at some new pictures here. So on the right side of the screen, I presume that this is tape that's just come back in from us, perhaps after the explosion. Guys, just get in my ear and let me know if we know anything. Yes, I am correct. So everyone obviously just standing around wondering what the heck is going on. At least talking to the last eyewitness, saying that there doesn't appear to be a tremendous amount of panic, that the police seem to have this under control, and perhaps that is in part because hopefully it was a dud, and that it didn't wreak the damage that this individual was hoping. But still, my goodness, just in Europe right now.
Well, remember, what was it, a little over a year ago, the bombing here in New York and Chelsea?
Oh, yeah.
Which was essentially, fortunately turned out to be nothing more really than a dumpster fire. But that could have been very significant in a downtown crowded area full of bars, restaurants, people, enjoying a nightlife. It was a bit of a damn squib. If this is a similar situation, then yeah, this is the reason why people aren't running in terror for their lives.
That was still plenty scary for a lot of people on a Saturday night in Manhattan. Michael, stay with me. I've got Erin McLaughlin. She's our reporter there on the ground outside of this train station in Brussels. Erin, I understand you just spoke with the police. What did you learn?
Hi, Brooke. Well, we're still waiting for more information. Police at this point being tight-lipped with the details. That they have confirmed that there has been an incident at the central train station here in Brussels. Just behind me, you can see that they've cordoned off the road leading to the station. You can see a very heavy police as well as a military presence. A producer here on the ground a short while ago saw a bomb disposal truck drive by. But in terms of what exactly unfolded here, the sequence of events, authorities at the moment, again, not saying at present. We do know, though, from police that the situation is under control here in Brussels as they continue to work on what now obviously is an ongoing investigation into what exactly happened. But again, the situation is under control. According to eyewitnesses, there were blasts, some pops heard inside the station itself. Unclear how many individuals were injured in the incident, if there are any injuries at all. Also unclear how the authorities managed to get the situation under control.
Erin, thank you very much in Brussels for us. We'll come back to you when you get more information, but let's bring in Anthony May. He's a retired ATF explosives investigator. Anthony, we just heard Erin say that the bomb disposal truck is there. Tell me what they're doing.
Well, right now they're probably going to try to clear the area, ensure that there are no secondary devices. I'm not very familiar with what's going on there. It kind of caught me off guard on this one. But I'm sure there's backpacks, luggage laying around maybe that they've got to go through just to make sure there's no other hazards, no secondary devices to clear the scene so they can get the injured out and then start the criminal investigation.
Anthony, are you near a TV right now?
No, I'm not. Actually,
okay.
I'm on my way to an airport.
Okay, well, let me just describe to you, because we're getting our first images of what appears to be the explosion, mid-explosion, this sort of fiery tower, maybe, I guess, 5 to 6 feet in height, just based upon the height of the structure next to it that would be in any train station. And you can see the fiery glow, people running from it. Beyond that, and the fact that you're not looking at it, tell me what units will do once they come upon that explosion. The remnants.
Well, they're going to try to establish where the blast site was once they start the investigation, but I think it's probably too soon into this event to start looking into that. Like I said, their major concern right now is to secure the scene and make the scene safe to evacuate the injured as well as the follow-on investigators.
What about the person who put it there? How are they looking for him or her?
I'm sorry. Why? I'm in a very noisy background area. Why are they?
No. I said, what about the person who left the explosion? How are they looking for him or her?
Well, typically they're going to start canvassing the area for any CCTV cameras, footages that may have picked up the individual. There'll be teams of investigators pulling those camera footages, reviewing those to see what they can glean from that as far as identifying who the individual was and what direction he might have headed in, and then continue trying to following him with CCTV cameras.
Stay with me, Anthony. Erin, just back to you. Outside of this train station, it's just about 10 o'clock at night where you are. Describe to me just what's normal at this time of evening in terms of crowds around the train station.
Yeah, well, I mean, this incident did happen later in the evening, not as congested at that train station as it would be during, say, rush hour when people would be making their way homes from work. As you can see, the scene before you now, the street is The street is empty except for emergency services, which are responding to this incident. There's also a military presence out. Traffic, though, is moving sort of around this area. There is a small group of bystanders that have gathered, mainly curious to see what is going on. Other than that, the area surrounding the station itself appears to have been completely evacuated. Brooke?
Aaron, the first eyewitness who I spoke with, who it looks like is actually the one who provided the image of the explosion, was saying that it appeared to be, or he heard 2 explosions, and that the explosion was sort of deeper within the train station. Have you heard anything on that from police?
No, I mean, at the moment, police are being very tight-lipped in terms of details. The first accounts that we heard of this incident were accounts from eyewitnesses on Twitter. I called authorities immediately when those accounts first crossed, and they were still trying to put the pieces together as to what exactly transpired here, which, you know, what happened now, of course, is the subject of an ongoing investigation. Again, it does appear, though, that this incident has been dealt with. The situation, the police are saying, is under control, though they are not giving much detail in terms of these explosions that have been heard by eyewitnesses or how they brought this incident under control.
So, Aaron, and let me just ask you, when you have police saying the situation is under control, that makes me wonder about the individual who placed these bombs or explosives. Do we know anything about the person who placed them, or is that person in custody or neutralized, have they said?
You know, not at the moment, Brooke. We simply do not know. There were early reports of Twitter of shots fired as well. We don't know if that was from the police or not. We simply do not know how they resolved the situation at present.
Okay, Aaron, thank you. I'm just looking down at Belgian Ministry of Foreign Affairs tweeting incident at Brussels Central Station. Emergency services are on site. And please follow a handle for more information. Michael Weiss, if I can just continue picking your brain here, as we've been, covering different instances, looking at what's happening here in Brussels. What is protocol, when people are responding to this kind of thing?
Well, clear the area, first of all. There'll be a manhunt underway, scanning CCTV footage. I mean, if the guy detonated some kind of device in the station, presumably he was picked up. They'll get a physical description of him. As you mentioned, there are all these unconfirmed reports and rumors floating around social media, some of them attributed to Belgian news outlets, that there might have been shots fired. None of that can be confirmed at the moment. But if there is an active situation, it appears that it has been neutralized because the Belgian police are not in high panic mode.
Situation under control, right?
Right. So it could well be the case
actually,
that...
my executive producer just jumped in my ear and saying, here we have it, Belgian media saying that the individual has been neutralized.
There you go.
At the Brussels train station.
Now,
so
we don't know if that means he was shot and killed or he was wrestled to the ground and arrested.
Situation under control is basically the bottom line. We don't know.
And if he's been neutralized and the situation is under control, then presumably Belgian authorities do not suspect that this was a many men endeavor. This was a one-man operation. How
often, though, just again, in the wake of Paris and London, and then as you went back to Paris and Brussels, you talk about the significance of ISIS and the role in Belgium, but also the potential for copycats?
Potential for copycats, potential for just crazy people who want to sow chaos and harm. I mean, remember after 9/11, all the people calling in bomb scares and anthrax scares, nothing to do with jihad. They thrived on the anarchy of the situation. And again, we saw yesterday in the UK an instance that at first blush might have seemed like an ISIS-inspired attack. Again, vehicular manslaughter plowing into a crowd, except that, by all accounts, it appears to have been perpetrated by an anti-Muslim bigot who shouted, according to the Guardian newspaper, "I want to kill all the Muslims," and may have been radicalized in a different way, i.e. turned into an ultranationalist and a xenophobe. So it's often, I know people give the media a lot of grief when they say, well, why don't you come right out and say, this is terrorism, and more specifically, this is Islamic terrorism? Because the data doesn't always allow us to say that. Who wants to be reckless and stupid and get ahead of our skis and claim something that in 24 hours' time might not be the case? But again, if you're asking me my gut, in this instance, because it's Brussels, because it's a transportation hub, and because this is ground zero for ISIS's most significant and well, sort of stocked network of European jihadists, I'd be lying to you if I told you my spidey sense didn't suggest.
That's where it goes.
Yeah.
If you are just joining us, we are getting news from the Belgian media. These are pictures out of Brussels, Belgium, just outside of one of the big train stations in town, that there was at least reports of an explosion. Having talked to eyewitnesses, he described hearing multiple explosions. We've seen the fiery photo, and now from the media there that the individual perhaps responsible for this has been neutralized at this train station. Anthony May is still with us. Aaron McLaughlin is still with us. And so individual neutralized, Aaron, do we know what that means?
Not at present, Brooke. Belgian Crisis Center just tweeting out that soldiers inside the station neutralized this individual, and not giving much more information than that as to why they neutralized him. We do know from eyewitnesses, though, that this incident was preceded by two small explosions. So again, that being tweeted by the Belgian Crisis Center. In terms of what they mean by neutralized, unclear. We also know from early eyewitness reports on Twitter that shots were fired. Not sure if they neutralized this individual by shooting him. That, again, is unclear, unconfirmed by authorities, but the situation does seem to be under control at the train station.
Great. Aaron, thank you. Anthony May, same question for you, just from a retired ATF perspective, working scenes like this. When you hear neutralized, what do you think?
They've taken the perpetrator out, either in a gun battle, and that doesn't sound like there was a suicide vest involved, so he didn't take his own self out. Typically, when we use that term neutralize, it means that law enforcement has done their job and has taken the individual out.
And just on the police response, I mean, it seemed to be incredibly quick, and just given the climate in Europe right now, do you, just have thoughts on that?
Well, I'm sure that what's happening all over Europe, and this is not Belgium's first rodeo on this, I'm sure they've gotten to where their rapid response teams are ready to go at a moment's notice, and it sounds like that's happened here, to where they can gain control of what is typically an uncontrollable event.
Okay. Again, according to Belgian media, the individual responsible for these explosions at this train station in Brussels has been neutralized, reporting that the situation is under control, but still obviously scary for anyone trying to hop on a train at just about 10 o'clock at night in Brussels, in relatively the city center. I'm talking to eyewitnesses reporting hearing one, perhaps two. We saw that fiery picture of the explosion mid explosion. Obviously, police have the whole area cordoned off. No one's coming or going out of that train station for the foreseeable future. I'm talking to Michael Weiss just about the climate in Europe. Just with a couple minutes to go here's the picture for you if you haven't seen it yet on the right side of your screen. This is from one of the eyewitnesses, the fire there, and again, the individual neutralized.
So, I mean, if it's one guy and you're looking at this explosion, which does not look all that forbidding, although scary as it may be, it didn't really succeed in killing people. And also 10 o'clock at night. ISIS chooses targets when they know they're going to be packed.
Maximize casualties.
Right, middle of the day, rush hour. If I had to guess at this point, I might say this could be an amateur who was, the cliche lone wolf needs to be retired, but let us just say a single individual who might not quite have known what he was doing, possibly connected to a European network, possibly not, possibly just wanting to write his name in the stars, as they say, and impress upon whatever jihadi outfit he's pledging allegiance to. But there's a few things that are off about this. Why aren't there other people involved? Why wasn't this a multi-man team? If it was a suicide bomber, why did the explosion happen inside the train station and then he was neutralized somewhere else? So did he chicken out? Did he not detonate the vest, or did he detonate it inside the train and then run away? These are the questions I'm asking, looking at this evidence.
Paul Cruikshank, I understand you're joining us now, our CNN terror analyst. Your read on all of this in Brussels.
Hey, Brooke, yeah, I'm actually here in Brussels right now. Belgian authorities now saying that following some kind of explosion at the central station, that they had to neutralize one suspect. The fire service here in Belgium also saying that the explosion did not create any victims. So some good news at this early stage in terms of the idea that nobody seems to have been killed or injured in whatever this incident was at the central station, the Gare Centrale, in Brussels tonight. But I can tell you that there is significant concern about this, given the uptick in attacks throughout Europe in recent days during the Ramadan period. But no word yet on motivation here, who could be behind this. Details are still coming in about what exactly happened just a little while ago in one of Brussels' main train stations.
You were there in Brussels. I mean, you're feeling it in Europe. We talked a lot about what's happened in Paris and London. The climate is, people are on edge.
They are on edge, and the public is on edge, and I can tell you that the security services and the police here in Brussels are on edge as well. In March of last year, there was a major ISIS terrorist attack in the city, the same cell that was responsible also for the Paris terrorist attacks. Now, there has not been a major terrorist attack in Belgium since then. Part of that is down to a lot of hard work by the security services here in the wake of that attack. They really went after the cell responsible for the attack, managed to arrest a lot of the people involved in that. But there has been significant concern for some time that more might be coming, that there might be other terrorist cells here present in the capital as people start to come back from ISIS territory in Syria and Iraq. Now, that all being said, this is very, very early stages. We don't yet have full details about what happened at the central station.
Okay.
We don't yet have full details in terms of this being an actual attack. They're still describing it as
We're working on getting
incident.
them. I'm up against a wall. Paul, thank you so much for calling in from Brussels. We're going to let Jake Tapper take over. The special live coverage continues right now.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. We'll begin with breaking news just into CNN. You're looking at live shots from Brussels, Belgium. Witnesses there reporting explosions and gunfire as locals ran in panic from the city's central train station. We are seeing, you can see an explosion there. That's an image of an explosion from inside the central station. We're seeing heavy police presence right there, right now. Belgian media is reporting that a possible suspect has been, quote, neutralized at the scene. Let's go live now to CNN's Aaron McLaughlin, who's in Brussels. And Aaron, what's the latest?
Hi, Jake. Well, it seems that the situation is under control. That, according to the police, it unfolded about over an hour ago at a Grand Central station, one of the main train stations here in Brussels. You can see it's just down the road that way. Eyewitness is reporting seeing some sort of explosions, a couple pops, small explosions, and then, according to police, the suspect, a private individual, has been, quote, neutralized. Unclear how they managed to neutralize the suspect in this case, but you can see that they are taking this incident extremely seriously. They have cordoned off the street surrounding the train station, not letting traffic through. You can also see a very heavy military presence out on the street. This is a city under a heightened state of alert due to the terror threat that is persistent in this country. They're taking no chances here in Brussels tonight, Jake.
All right, Aaron McLaughlin, thank you so much. As we learn more information about what's going on in Brussels, we will bring you that. But let's turn to